press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update.
Hello children, we are discussing the topic atomic structure, and today we'll continue with the next part. That's our 11th part with respect to atomic structure. Okay. It's the 11th part of atomic structure. Last time we discussed about Bohr's model of an atom and I told you excitation and emission of the energy levels, of the electrons can occur from one energy level to other energy levels. The Bohr's model of an atom is applicable to hydrogen atom, which we mentioned out clearly on that day. So, Bohr's model, it's applicable to hydrogen and hydrogen-like species. So let us see what exactly we calculated on that day. So first of all, when you look on nucleus, suppose the charge of the nucleus is Ze, which is plus, Z plus, it is the charge of the nucleus, and electrons are rotating around it. Now, when the electron is moving around it, there are two different forces working on it. This is our tangential velocity, in which electron is rotating around the nucleus. The electrostatic forces of nucleus, which we have mentioned out, electrostatic forces are converted to circular motion. Now we are discussing that out here. So we have electron with mass E, charge of the electron is E, and there is the force working on it. That force which is trying to take the electron away from the nucleus, an outward force, we call that as centrifugal force. Now this force will tend to take this electron away, and then there is electrostatic force which is centripetal. There will be the force acted upon by the nucleus, which is electrostatic force. And that electrostatic force will try to keep the electron coming close to the nucleus. So this force is tending to pull it down, this force is tending to send it away. But we know electrons are rotating continuously around the nucleus. It means the force exhibited by, we know according to Coulomb's law, the electrostatic force exhibited between two charges is directly proportional to the product of magnitude of two charges. So how much centrifugal force is acted upon onto this electron? If it is balanced by the centripetal force, then only electron will be able to rotate around the nucleus. So that force is mentioned by angular mv square by r. This should be balanced. This centrifugal force should be balanced by the electrostatic force, which is centripetal force, and that is given by Z. E is the charge of the nucleus into E, so that makes it Ze square divided by r square, inversely proportional square of the radius. Now if you want to calculate the velocity, you will be able to calculate the velocity. Various constants will come into play. At the end, while calculating the radius of that electron from the nucleus, the mathematical calculation that comes into play is radius of nth shell. We are talking about here first shell and hydrogen atom is equal to 0.529. Directly proportional to the principal quantum number and inversely proportional to the charges. So into n square by Z in terms of angstroms. In terms of picometers, it comes 52.9, because when you do the mathematical derivation, which is not needed for us, so it comes 52.9 into n square by Z picometers. That's why last time I told you, radius of nth shell of hydrogen atom from Bohr's model calculation comes equal to what? It comes equal to A0 into n square by Z angstroms or picometers, and this can also be written in terms of what? Meters as well. You can convert angstroms into meters, into multiplication factor will be 10 to the power minus 10, right? So that A0 here, A0 for hydrogen atom, the first ground state where from electron is present from the nucleus in hydrogen atom comes to be 0.529. What is n value for the first shell of hydrogen? 1, and Z for hydrogen is also 1. It comes out to be 0.529 angstroms. Shorter terms we write A0 equals to 0.53 angstroms respectively. As I mentioned, Bohr's model of an atom is applicable to all the atoms, to that of hydrogen atom itself. All the atoms which are hydrogen-like. So we can apply this equation to the atoms like helium plus also. Let us see what is the radius of nth orbital of helium plus. Tell me the radius of nth orbital of helium plus. It will be, children, equal to what? 0.529 into n square by Z. For helium, electronic configuration is 1s1. For hydrogen also, electronic configuration is 1s1. So n value for both is same. Z value changes. For helium, what is the nuclear charge? Atomic number, children, that is 2. So radius of first shell of helium will be equal to 0.529 divided by 2. 0.529 is A0. So radius of helium plus equals to half to the radius of hydrogen. Well, am I clear or not? So it will be half of 0.529. What is 0.529? Radius of first shell of hydrogen, and that is logical only, children. How? When the electrostatic forces will increase, when the nuclear charge will increase, electron is only 1. There are 2 protons now pulling it. 2 protons will pull this electron twice to that of 1 proton, because there is no shielding, there is no screening, there is no repulsion offered to electron, there is no intervening shell present at all. So it will be pulled double to that of hydrogen. As a result of that, radius reduces to half. So we reach the conclusion here that radius, according to Bohr's model of an atom and calculations, radius of nth orbital of hydrogen atom equals to 0.529 n square by Z angstroms or hydrogen-like species. So that logically means what? Radius of an atom is directly proportional to n square and inversely proportional to Z, because we know 0.529 is a constant value here, correct? So if I am plotting a graph of radius with respect to n square, because this is direct proportional, it will be a straight line, correct or not? If I plot a graph of radius with respect to 1 by Z, it again should be a straight line. Otherwise, if you plot it with respect to Z, because this is inverse proportionality, when Z will increase, R should decrease. So with the increase in the Z, R should be continuously decreasing. So I plotted it with respect to R and N directly. Am I clear here or not? Clear with this understanding? Excellent. What was the other important postulate that we got with respect to energy? If you remember, on that day, we discussed that as well, children. What was that? We discussed that energy of nth shell is given by minus what? RH, where RH is Rydberg's constant. This we will find out in the value of this RH, and what exactly this RH is, this we will find out in line spectrum of hydrogen. After this, we are going to discuss line spectrum of hydrogen atom itself. Correct or not? So RH into what is energy of nth orbital? RH by n square, where n is the principal quantum number for us, which shell we are talking about. Now here, one important thing is there in terms of joules, and the value of this RH equals to 109,677 centimeter inverse. We'll find this value exactly, how it comes. So what will be the energy of first shell? Tell me, last time what did I mention out? When we keep going away from the nucleus, what happens to the electrostatic force on the outermost electron? It decreases. So what happens to the energy? Stability. Energy will increase. Let us see whether it is correct or not. So if n equals to 1, we are talking about hydrogen atom, En, so energy of first shell of hydrogen atom, which is the ground state, will be minus RH. In terms of joules, when you find out the value of RH, it is 2.18 into 10 to the power minus 18 joules. Am I clear? And in terms of electron volts, the same value of RH will be minus 13.6 electron volts per atom. Okay, so energy of first shell will be RH. We'll use this value in terms of joules. It will be minus. Last time I told you what does negative energy indicate here, right? If the electron is out of atom, what is the energy? 0. If the same is brought in the nucleus, it becomes more stable. Stability more means energy will be less. From 0, if you are decreasing the value, that goes to negative. This is the practical significance of minus value. It means that electron present in the shells, close or far, is more stable or is more exhibiting the energy value, stability values compared to when electron is out of atom. That's at infinite distance. So E1 will be equal to minus 2.18 into 10 to the power minus 18. Clear or not? By n square. What is the n value here? 1. So it will be joules. This is the first one. Energy of second shell will be minus 2.18 into 10 to the power minus 18 by 4. And then energy of third shell will be minus 2.18 into 10 to the power minus 18 divided by 9. Clear or not? So it will be in terms of joules. You can see that here. It is divided by nothing. So E1 in negative value. Yes. So this will increase or not? It will be what? If you divide the two, it will be 0.5 is 20, 4, 4, 60, and then 4 again, 50. So it will be 0.54. So here I am mentioning it. Come here, children. So for E1, how much is the value? Write down the value there. E1, how much is the value? Minus 2.18 into 10 to the power minus 18. Then for E2 it will be minus 2.18 into 10 to the power minus 18 divided by 4. So it will be how much? 0.545. So you can see clearly E1 is 2.18, E2 is 0.54, but it is a minus value. So less but in minus is more. So E1 energy is less than E2, less than E3. This is the generalization. So you can find for third shell, you can find for fourth shell, so on and so forth. A time will come when you will reach n value equal to infinity, means you are out of atom now. So when n value is infinity, anything divided by infinity is 0. So you will have energy at infinite distance equal to 0. That's why we write E infinity equals to 0. Am I clear here? Excellent. Have a proper look on this concept. This is mathematics of atom, technically we are discussing. So we are discussing the mathematics of atom, that is Bohr's model of an atom in terms of its energy value. So what did we get? The first thing, what is radius of hydrogen atom given by, or hydrogen like species? 0.529 into n square by z. Now here you can see clearly in terms of energy, it is inversely proportional to n, but it is directly proportional to z. So we can write down those equations here. So keep it in mind now, children. Energy of nth orbital equals to what? Minus, this is what we are mostly using while solving question, minus 13.6 into z square by n square electron volts per atom. Instead of that, you can write the value as 2 point, or you can write the energy of nth orbital, nth shell of hydrogen atom equals to minus 2.18 into 10 to the power minus 18 into z square by n square. This will be in terms of joules. Even you can write the value in terms of centimeters and other values itself. So these are two generalizations on the basis of which we are getting the energy values. And then, as I said, radius of nth orbital of hydrogen atom equals to 0.529 into n square by z angstroms, which can be converted to nanometers, can be converted to meters, can be converted to micrometers, and even can be converted to picometers. Is it clear so far? Now, graph of the radius I have shown. What if I plot a graph of energy with respect to Z, directly or inversely proportional. You can see from the mathematical term here. So, with respect to the energy and with respect to Z square value, so there's a direct proportionality. So, increase in E will occur, but there will be more increase of Z. So, it will be graph, will be straight line only, but more towards Z. What about with respect to N? Faster. For hydrogen atom, what is N value? 1. So, with respect to N, what will be the graph? It will be energy with respect to 1 by N square. Again, it will be a straight line for us. So, all the graphs are coming into play as a straight line. Now, you tell me, if we are asked to find out with respect to the same atom, so Z value will be same. We are asked to find out the ratio of energies with respect to the N values. What does N mean here? Principal quantum number. Technically, we are talking about orbits, shells, according to Bohr's model. So, because E is directly proportional to Z, we can write down E1 by E2, energy of first shell of that atom by energy of second shell of that atom, equals to, because directly proportional to Z, so I'll write Z1 square by Z2 square. One equation. Because E is inversely proportional to N, what I can write down? E1 by E2 inversely proportional to N equals to N2 by N1 square. So, E1 by E2 equals to N2 by N1 square. And if you want to do it for the radius itself, then R1 by R2 equals to R1 by R2, radius of first shell to that of second shell, equals to directly proportional to N, correct or not? So, equating the term, it will be N1 square by N2 square, and calculating with respect to Z, R1 by R2, because this is inversely proportional, will be equal to Z1 by Z2. There is no square value used here. Keep these equations in mind. So, we are getting these all, actually we can do it mathematically as well. How do we reach the value of minus 5.29? How do we reach the value of minus 2.18 or minus 13.6? When you do full-fledged mathematical equations with respect to Bohr's model, you'll be able to get by, but for now, for this period of time, we don't need those derivations. Am I clear here? Clear. So, 0.529, I said, it is obtained. How? When you are taking into consideration the balancing of centripetal and centrifugal forces, so that electron can keep rotating around the nucleus. Because one force is trying to take it away, one force is trying to bring it in. In order for it to continuously rotate in an orbit, there must be the balancing of angular momentum or centrifugal force with centripetal forces. Centripetal forces are technically electrostatic forces that we are talking about. Centripetal forces are given by the electrostatic forces here. Right? So, we are using Columbus law to solve it, because Columbus law says that electrostatic force equals to K Q1 Q2 by R square. The electrostatic force between two charges directly proportional to the product of magnitude of two charges, inversely proportional to square of distance between them. That's a mathematical term I use it. What was that? mv square by R, angular momentum, is balanced by the electrostatic forces. What is that? Ze into E, that is nuclear charge, charge of the electron, divided by R square. Solving for R, and R value will be off. Solving for V, it will be equal to Ze plus into E divided by M. Square value of these all will come into play. So, you can solve it out very easily. So, mass will come, you can find out the velocity, and from velocity you will be able to calculate radius also if you don't cancel out the terms here. Am I clear to everyone here? So, it is mv square by R, this is Ze into E by R square value. This is electrostatic force, that is centripetal, and this is angular momentum or centrifugal force is working. Am I clear with this thought here? Excellent. So, did you understand the equations, how to find out the energies of different shells? Right? Can you tell me, just one simple question we'll solve with respect to this. If, write down the question, if the energy of first shell of hydrogen atom, I said hydrogen and hydrogen like species. So, if it is hydrogen atom, you can neglect both of these. However, if it is not hydrogen atom and you are talking about different excited states, then N value also keeps on changing. Suppose hydrogen atom is undergoing second excitation. First excitation means 1 to 2. Second excitation means 1 to 3. So n value will change. So n value will also change depending upon excitation. But for the atoms like hydrogen and hydrogen-like species, you can have Z value changing, but n value will remain same. Am I clear with this thought? Excellent. So keeping these things in mind, we will solve numericals on this as well, children. Once we are done with all its mathematical fundamentals, we will be solving numericals in these terms as well. Questions, multiple choice questions from this as well. So whatever the topic, quantum numbers, energy concentrations we have done, at the end we'll be solving one, not at the end, with the end of this particular topic we'll be solving some numericals as well with respect to it. Clear, children? Okay, very good. So we'll write down a question. Ratio of energies of hydrogen and lithium 2 plus. Hydrogen or hydrogen-like species. Good. Now we know energy value. What is energy of nth orbital given by? Minus 13.6 into Z square by n square electron volts. We can write down simple ratio of energies. So E of hydrogen by E of Li plus. Lithium 2 plus means again 1s1. Actually 1s2, 2s1. It has lost 2 electrons, so n value is 1 here. For hydrogen we know already it is 1s1. E of hydrogen by Ei lithium plus will be. So minus 13.6 will be equal to minus 13.6 into, for hydrogen what is Z value? 1. What is n value? 1. So minus 13.6 divided by minus 13.6 into 4. Because what is Z value for lithium? Sorry, it is 3. So it will be Z square. It will be 9. So that cancel off. So we'll have energy of hydrogen by energy of lithium plus will be 1/9. What does it mean? Energy of lithium plus is 9 times to that of hydrogen, and that should be logical itself. Because more the nuclear pull, more will be the energy content of that system. Means if the nuclear pull is more, electrostatic forces will be more, then centrifugal forces and centripetal forces balancing each other will be more. Energy concentration of the electron will also be higher. That's a basic thing to understand itself. Is it clear? Similar way you can do question with respect to lithium. Radius as well of hydrogen to that of lithium. So let us see that also. Ratio of radii of hydrogen to lithium plus. So radius of hydrogen by radius of lithium 2 plus will be equal to, what is radius equal to? 0.529 into what? N square by Z divided by 0.529 into N square by Z in terms of angstroms. So radius of hydrogen to that of radius of lithium 2 plus will be equal to. So these will be of N square for hydrogen 1, Z for hydrogen 1, it will be 1 on the whole divided by N square for lithium, again 1 because you are in first shell only, but Z, so it will be 1 by, what is Z for lithium? 3. So what do we can write down? So radius of hydrogen by radius of lithium will be 3 by 1. That means radius of hydrogen will be 3 times to that of, radius of hydrogen will be 3 times to the radius of lithium 2 plus, and logical because the number of protons in lithium plus, what is nuclear charge? 3 in, lithium 2 plus, in hydrogen, what is nuclear charge equal to? 1. So naturally nuclear pull will be 3 times more to that of hydrogen. As a result of that, radius of hydrogen means electron of hydrogen will be far compared to that of radius of which one? Lithium. So if you want to find that, how much it will be? 0.529 will be for hydrogen. 0.529 by 3 will be for lithium 2 plus. Are the statements clear to you, children? With respect to radiation energy, we will solve more and more questions, but before that, we will have a discussion on line spectrum of hydrogen, a very, very important discussion. Now, we will use the same energy concepts and explain the line spectrum of hydrogen. So, using Bohr's model and explaining the line spectrum of hydrogen. Last time I have told you what's meant by spectrum, and we discussed it there about emission and absorption spectrum. So, hydrogen atom shows the emission of radiations in different zones of electromagnetic spectrum. Balmer was the first one to work on the hydrogen, and he found out that the visible part of the spectrum, which is obtained from hydrogen atom. How exactly do we first of all obtain the spectrum? See, if we have hydrogen sample here and we are giving it energy, hydrogen molecules break into energetically unstable hydrogen atoms, and these hydrogen atoms get excited. Technically, hydrogen itself is not a charge. The electron present within the hydrogen is charged. All these things, excitations, are shown by actual electrons. Now, it is a hydrogen atom in which electrons get excited. We will talk here technically about the atoms are getting excited by gaining of the energy, technically electrons. And once the electrons are coming back to their ground positions after excitation, they emit radiations. And we know these electrons being charged, when they are excited, they will produce electromagnetic radiations, and when those emitted radiations are analyzed, we find out that in that hydrogen spectrum, we are getting one region in the visible zone also. Balmer was the first to elucidate a formula on the basis of which we can calculate the wave number of the wave emitted. As the radiation will be emitted in terms of photon for light or one quantum. We already know the energy of quantum is given by the frequency, so which is equal to h nu. We know this relationship very well. Now, as it is emitted out and it is analyzed, he found out, because this is a wave, h nu, it will have wavelength, it will have wave number. Balmer said that we can find out the wave number of that emitted wave as V bar equals to RH. So the value was 1, he didn't say RH, 109,677 into 1 by 2 square minus 1 by n square, where he said n is more than 2. That technically means the ground state where the electrons are coming back after excitation is energy level 2, and naturally once excitation has occurred from 2, it can be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so on and so forth. It will be greater than 2, that is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And when the electrons are coming back to the ground states, they are losing out the energy. So the visible part of that can be found out. It is wave number. The radiation which is emitted out, its wave number can be found out by this equation. Technically means wavelength can also be found out. Later, when there was more work on hydrogen atom, not only was there one particular, and this series was called as Balmer series. Because you are obtaining radiations in terms of lines and you are getting different spectral lines when electrons are coming from excited state to the ground state, this series is called as Balmer series. And after that, there were many more people, many more scientists who worked on it, and it was found out that in order to find out the wave number of the emitted wave, there is a general equation which can be used. Not only do we have Balmer series, means not only we will have the visible zone coming out of it, we may have different other series, different other electromagnetic series part coming out from hydrogen, which can be generally calculated, whose radiations or wave number can be generally calculated by the formula V bar equals to RH. For hydrogen atom it was RH Z square into 1 by N initial square minus 1 by N final square. So we can write this one as N1 square minus N2 square centimeter inverse. And this RH is mathematical value for this after experimentation comes equal to what? For RH. Z we are usually not mentioning in terms of equation because we are applying this to hydrogen atom. If you want to apply it to any other hydrogen, any other atom except a hydrogen, Z has to be taken into account. Spectroscopical and mathematical studies on hydrogen atom gave us a clear-cut indication, because not only one series, there are so many series in the hydrogen that we are obtaining. Like we have Lyman series, I will discuss all these. Lyman series, we have Balmer series, we have Paschen series, we have Brackett series, and we have P-Fund series. Each will have its excited level is different and ground levels will be varying. And one is the electron is coming from higher energy level to ground energy level, it is emitting radiations. As I said that these radiations behave as particles as well. So they will release energy in discrete quantities which we called as quantum. And the energy of each quantum equals to h nu. You will be able to calculate the wave number of each spectral line produced. By the formula, wave number equals to Ra Z square into 1 by N1 square minus 1 by N2 square. Because we are applying this to hydrogen, it's line spectrum of hydrogen atom. So instead of we are neglecting Z, we don't take that into consideration itself here at all. Now where from we are getting this equation? And what exactly are these series? How can you find out the energy of each line? How can you find out each line will be composed of how many more lines? Now what I mean to say, children, suppose an electron is coming from 5th to 1st level. From 5th energy level to 1st energy level. Yes. So there is 4th, there is 3rd, there is 2nd, there is 1st. Now when it comes from 5 to 1 directly, it will produce one line. But there are other possibilities. What are they? It can go from 5 to 4 or 5 to 3 or 5 to 2 or 5 to 1. So this one line, 5 to 1, will be composed of how many more lines? How many more lines will be composed? 1, 2, 3, 4. So one line, when you are analyzing, this one line will give you further fine lines. So we call this as fine spectrum of hydrogen also, line spectrum of hydrogen also, because you are getting bands, you are getting lines. What are lines here actually? Radiations, which will have some wave number, which will have some frequency respectively. Clear? Let us see, how do we get this value from Bohr's model of an atom? Bohr's model of an atom explains the line spectrum of hydrogen as well, and perfectly explains. Keep this equation in mind. Wave number equals to RH, Rydberg's constant. This was later called as Rydberg's constant. Rydberg's constant. Z square, hydrogen atom, 1 by N1 square minus 1 by N2 square, where N1 is initial, or other words ground state, and N2 is excited state. Now let us understand how do we get this equation, wave number equation from this. Did you understand the hydrogen spectrum? So when hydrogen sample is irradiated, given energy, energetically the hydrogen molecule is split into atoms and there are excitations, and when they are coming back to the ground state, it's not hydrogen atoms but technically it's the electron showing the transitions. Coming back to the ground state, they will lose energies, and those energies which have been lost can be calculated, because energy lost will be given in terms of radiation. That will have some energy. Energy is always associated with frequency and wave numbers. So those are the things that we can calculate. Energy values, you can use the same equations. Energy, radius, for calculation, those things you can use the same relationships. Am I clear? But here, keep it in mind, it's hydrogen atom or hydrogen-like species. You see, a system which contains only uni electrons, these many spectral series are obtained. What if you consider there is a multi-electron system? That's the drawback. That is one of the limitations of Bohr's model, that it cannot be used for multi-electron systems. Because you can see there are some reasons for it. One, you can see there are extremely high number of series that you are obtaining from one electron itself. Because different electrons will be excited to different energy levels. Not all the atoms will gain same energy. Different energy obtained, different excitations, different emissions. So these many spectral lines are obtained, spectral series are obtained. What if it is multi-electron? It becomes extremely difficult. So you need extreme high level of super computing properties, which will not be, which is one of the limitations of this Bohr's model of an atom. And also, each line is composed of further small lines. It also cannot be explained by Bohr's model of an atom at all. Am I clear? So these are certain limitations, but this was one of the best models that explained the most important questions with respect to atom. So let us see how we get this from Bohr's model of an atom. Using Bohr's model of an atom, how can we calculate the wave number equation that we have used just a while earlier? So first of all, I want to find out wave number. So to find out wave number, I will need wavelength. To get wavelength, I'll need frequency. So I will use some equations here to solve it out. I'll use Bohr's model of an atom to solve this equation. Let's have a look. We know when electrons will be excited from, suppose, ground state to some excited state, it will lose out some energy. And according to Bohr's model, the energy difference between the two will be E2 minus E1. We already know that. When you want to shift electron from ground state to excited state, it will do so by gaining some energy. Once you give it energy, it will go to excited state. And if it is coming back, while coming back, it will radiate energy. How much energy will it radiate? What will be the energy of quantum released by the electron when it is coming from excited state to ground state will be given by h nu, where nu is the frequency. So technically energy is directly proportional to that frequency. Basic thing. Good. So we have our equation delta E equals to E final minus E initial. So E final minus E initial. So excitation has occurred. Am I clear with the statement? Right. Now tell me, while earlier we solved what is the energy of nth shell of hydrogen given by energy of that shell, final or initial shell will be given by minus RH divided by n final square. That's the equation, energy equation we have. So children, delta E will be equal to E final. What is E final equal to? Minus RH divided by n final square minus of minus E initial, that will be RH divided by n initial square. Because this is hydrogen atom, Z square will be 1 respectively. Clear with so far? Excellent. So what will be delta E further equal to? I will just transfer this equation here. So it will be RH, I'll take it here, minus will be plus, RH divided by n initial square minus RH divided by n final square. You got it here? Keep a proper track into mind. So this is n initial and this is n final. It is technically n2, this is n1. So far clear, children? Yes. Further what will be delta E equal to? RH divided by n initial square minus RH divided by n final square. A while earlier we said delta E equals to h nu, energy difference. So what will be nu equal to? Nu will be equal to delta E divided by h. Yes. So let us suppose this is equation 2 and this is equation 1. Now put equation, what is delta E equal to? H nu. So what will be nu equal to? Delta E by h. So use the equation. Delta E equals to what? H nu. Delta equals to h nu, that is RH. So first of all write delta E only equals to RH into 1 by n initial square minus 1 by n final square. No doubt should be there. So further, what is delta E equal to? H nu. What will be nu equal to? Delta E by H. So can I write this equation here as, suppose this is first equation and this is second equation. Now what should we do? Put the values into it. Delta E equals to RH. So what is nu equal to? Write it down here. Nu equals to, I am putting the equation. Nu equals to delta E. What is delta E equal to? RH into 1 by n initial square minus 1 by n final square divided by H also. Divided by H also. What is H? Planck's constant. Or am I clear with the statement here? So what is delta equal to? HC. Yes or no? So if you look on this nu value here, what is nu equal to? C by lambda. What is lambda here? Wavelength. So what's the equation you got? Nu. You are getting it or not? What is nu equal to? RH by H, RH, which is Rydberg's constant. Have we used that RH value here? Have we? Or is it clear or not? So RH divided by n initial square minus RH divided by n final square. So delta E will be equal to RH into n by n initial square minus n by n2 square. So mu will be equal to RH divided by H. That will be 1 by n1 square minus 1 by n2 square. So further solving for nu will give you what? RH divided by Planck's constant. What's the value of Planck's constant? Fast. 6.623 in 10 to the power. So H value, Planck's constant, 6.62 into 10 to the power minus 34 joule second. Very good. Now, yes, so it will be 6.62 into 10 to the power minus 34 joule second into 1 by n initial square minus 1 by n final square. Now tell me children, what's the value of RH? Already we know. How much? 2.18 into 10 to the power minus 18. So use the value. Nu equals to 2.18 into 10 to the power minus 18 divided by 6.62 into 10 to the power minus 34 into 1 by n initial square minus 1 by n final square. When you divide the two, that is 2.18 10 to the power minus 18, you will get nu equal to almost 3.29 into 10 to the power 15 divided by nothing, because you have solved it, into 1 by n initial square minus 1 by n final square. Keep it in mind. So you got a value of nu. What do you need here now? Wave number. Now we will use one more equation which relates nu with the wave number, which will relate frequency with the wave number. Shall I come back here? So I am coming here. Now nu, use this equation, let us say equation third. We know children, nu equals to what? Frequency equals to what? C by lambda. Alright, okay, let me write here. We know nu equals to C by lambda. Yes, nu equals to what? C by lambda. So if nu is C by lambda, that can also be written nu equals to C into wave number, because 1 by lambda equals to wave number. Last time done? Or done or not? Very good. That further makes it, what will be wave number equal to? Nu by C equals to wave number. So we got the equation. What? Wave number equals to nu by C. What is nu? Frequency. What is C? Velocity of light. Come here children. We got nu value already, right? Or right or not? What do we need? Wave number. Use that equation. Let me take this equation as fourth one. What is nu equal to? What is nu equal to? Wave number equal to nu by C. So wave number equals to nu by C. What is nu value? 3.29 into 10 to the power minus 15. So what does the equation become? Wave number equals to nu 3.29 into 10 to the power 15. It's in meters, divided by C, velocity of light, 3 into 10 to the power 8 meters per second. This is frequency. This will be in terms of hertz, that is per second, into 1 by n initial square minus 1 by n final square. So let us further solve it. You got wave number equal to, when you solve this one, children, and convert, you have the meters, convert the value, it will be 1.09677 into 1 by, into 10 to the power 7 into 1 by n initial square minus 1 by n final square. Am I clear? Have a proper look on this. Now come here. You got wave number value, this one. So on the whole wave number, so this is the equation. So wave number will be 10967. Z for hydrogen is 1. We are not taking that into account only. Into 1 by n initial square minus 1 by n final square in terms of centimeter inverse. This is the equation what I told you at the start. So Bohr's model helps us to calculate the wave number equations as well. Am I clear? So what we have done so far is, we have done radius, we have done energy, and we have done the wave number calculation of hydrogen spectrum's line spectrum. I said there are many series that you are obtaining. The only one that you will be able to see from hydrogen spectrum is which series? Balmer series. That means Balmer series of hydrogen spectrum, Balmer series of hydrogen spectrum lies in which zone? Visible zone. Now it must be clearly understood that if, suppose children, you can have a look on this, if n1 square is more than n final square, initial is more than final, is it possible? So initial energy level and final energy level you need to see. When excitation and emissions do occur, electrons will be shifted from ground state to excited state. Here when I say excited state, I don't mean to say it will be always in 1. So electron may be excited from energy level 2 to 3, energy level 3 to 4, energy level 4 to 5, so on and so forth. Is it mathematically clear? Now have a look on the last equation through Bohr's model that we discussed. If you remember in hydrogen atom in my last class, what did I say is the energy differences. The first postulate that I made on that day was that in hydrogen atom or in any atom we have uni-electron system, E2 minus E1 is less than, have a look on that class please, less than E3 minus E1, which is less than E4 minus E1, which will be less than E infinity minus E1. Now diagrammatically what I mentioned on that day is like this. This is the first energy level K shell, K, L, M, N. So this is E2, this is E3, this is E4. I said when you are shifting electron from E1 to E2, E1 to E3 and E1 to E4, you will need most energy in this case, then this one, then this one. So it is easy to shift electron from 2 to 1, then to 3 to 1, then 4 to 1. Ground level remains the same, excited levels are changing, energy required for that purpose needed will be more. That is a basic fundamental rule. You will need more energy in order for electron to shift from 1 to 4 compared to 1 to 3. Most energy will be required when you are shifting electron from E1 to infinity. Infinity means out of atom. That's a basic thing I said. Now mathematically let us see whether it is correct or not. So we can find out delta E here, which will be equal to E2 minus E1. Now tell me, what is E2 equal to? Minus energy. What is energy equal to? Energy equals to minus 13.6 into Z square by N square, where N is the principal shell in which electron is actually present. So minus 13.6. For hydrogen atom, what is Z? 1 divided by 2. N value is 2. We are talking about second energy level. So for this N is 2. So it will be divided by 4 minus of minus 13.6. This is electron volts per atom. Keep it in mind. So that will be minus 13.6 divided by 4. How much? So 4 3 is 12. Right. And 4 4 6. It will be minus 3.4. Minus of minus will be plus 13.6. That will make it 6 4 will be 2. 3 3 will be 0 1. It will be 10.2 electron volts in shifting electron from E1 to E2. This is first thing per atom. Okay, let us see E3 minus E1. E3 minus E1 will be minus 13.6 divided by 9 plus 13.6. It's direct understanding now, because E3, it will be called 13.6 into Z. For hydrogen is 1, N square is third shell. So N will be 3 square, that is 9. So that will give you 13.6 divided by 9 will be 9 ones 9. 10, 30, 9 5s are 45. It will be minus 1.5 plus 13.6. So sum will be 6 5 will be 1, 3 1 will be 2, it will be 1. 12.1 electron volts. Have a look. It is how much? 10.2. Here it is how much? 12.1 electron volt. That means E3 minus E1 is more than E2 minus E1. Now next is E4. It will be divided by 16. Value will further increase. Now when you look on infinity, this one. So E infinity minus E1 will be E infinity minus 13.6 divided by N square. What is N? Infinity. Alright, it will be. So this value will be on the whole 0. Energy of electron at infinite distance is 0. Minus of minus 13.6. That will be plus 13.6 electron volts. So when you are giving 13.6 electron volts of energy to particular atom, to particular electron, in hydrogen it will be ionized out, means the electron will be sent out of the atom itself. So ionization energy of hydrogen is how much? Plus 13.6. Now you understood, if an electron is coming in the first shell, what is the energy there? Minus 13.6 first shell. If you send it out, you need plus 13.6. Means you have to give 13.6 electron volts of energy to bring the electron back to zero energy level. That's it. That's what we say, that energy of electron at infinite distance is 0. So energy range of hydrogen atom ranges in terms of electron volts from 13.6 to minus 13.6 to plus 13.6. So energy difference plus minus 13.6. For which one? Hydrogen atom. Why am I clear? Am I clear with this thought here or not? It lies between what? Minus 13.6 means electron is more stable, the system is more stable when electron is present in first cell. So when you send it out of atom, you require this much of energy. So that proves the equation. E2 minus E1 less than E3 minus E1 less than E4 minus E1 less than E infinity minus E1. Now other things should be very clear now to all of you. What is that equation? That equation is, children, E2 minus E1 will be more than E3 minus E2. That will be more than E4 minus E3. When you do the mathematical part of that, you will understand it very clearly. So this is your homework. You can do it at home. This mathematical formulation, you can do it at home. These equations are not required. If you look in our textbook, these are not mentioned over here. Their general equations are there, but you need to see how to apply these concepts within when you are solving questions with respect to Bohr's model of an atom. Am I clear with this thought or not? Clear to everyone? Excellent, children. So keep focusing on this. So wave number calculation, you understood. Nothing to mug up there. First thing, I'm using Bohr's model. When you are using Bohr's model of an atom, so what are the ways in which you will be in a position to find out that wave number equation? Nothing to mug up there. Don't just mug up the ideas here. First thing, simple and straightforward analysis. The first thing, use Bohr's model, delta E equals to E2 minus E1. Then use the frequency equation, that is delta E equals to h nu. So use frequency equation, nu equals to delta E by h. Delta E you will calculate from here, and h is Planck's constant, you already know the value. So delta E equals to h nu. I said last time nu equals to delta E by h. What is this called as? It is called as Bohr frequency rule. So we call that as Bohr frequency rule. Therefore, once you have found frequency value, then you need to wave number equation. Then use which equation? Very simple equation. What is that? Lambda equals to what? C by nu. Nu is frequency, keep it in mind. So we can write down nu equals to C by lambda. Yes. What is nu further equal to? C into 1 by lambda. So that will be C into wave number. So what is wave number equal to? Nu by C. That's the equation that you will use. Directly they might have mentioned wave number equals to nu by C. They might not have mentioned nu equals, wave number equals to nu by C. They have used it directly. Nu value you found here. H already you have found the new value. And then C speed of light, you know 3 × 10⁸ meters per second. You can find out wave number and finally we are getting the answer done. So no need to mug up anything here children. It's basic, simple and straightforward analysis with respect to wave number calculation. Now after this we will go into different series of hydrogen spectrum. So different series of hydrogen spectrum, as I mentioned, Balmer, Brackett, Paschen, Pfund and all those series. And there we will see how to calculate their wave number. They are also simple. Excitation has occurred between which two energy levels? What is the which one will give you the most energetic photon? Means what? When electron is coming from 5 to 1 or when it is coming from 5 to 3. So you will be able to calculate those with same equation that I have mentioned so far. Am I clear with this thought? Excellent. So have a proper look on these concepts children, because 100% you will have a question in competitive exams with respect to this. Definite question will be asked. You need to clear your heads and you need to make things very clear in your heads that you have understood these topics very well. Focus on the studies, read hard. Thank you.